West African history assimilation policy used by the French. Assimilation policy used by the French. This is a French administrative policy in its colonies in West Africa. It was practiced in the four communes of Senegal, i.e. Dakar, Rufisque, Gorée and Saint Louis. This policy was based on the principle of creating a white man in a black skin. This is because assimilation came from a French word assimile, which meant to cause to resemble. How assimilation policy worked or applied. There was a minister responsible for French colonies abroad, based in France and reported to the French government. Then the colonies in West Africa were headed by the governor general, who headed all the colonies based in Dakar. There were also governors who were in charge of a specific colonies, and each reported to the governor general. Colonies were divided into provinces under a provincial administrator. The provinces were also subdivided into districts under French chiefs. At the lowest level were the village cantons under the African chiefs, who were loyal Catholics, could speak French. The system succeeded in four colonies, i.e. the four communes of Senegal, namely Dakar, Rufisque, Gorée and Saint Louis. They exercised the same political rights as the French in France. In administration, there was resemblance of the same arrangement with that of France. The Senegal commune sent their representative to the Assembly of France and operated on equal status. For one to be accepted by the French had to speak fluent in French, adopt the French culture. West African history assimilation policy used by the French. The same official language as i.e. French to be used. Why assimilation policy failed in West Africa? It failed because of many difficult conditions for one to be assimilated, i.e. speak fluent French, Catholic, etc. The educated Africans preferred their cultures. The Muslims also opposed the Catholic religion and monogamy. The French occupied administrative posts meant for assimilated Africans, i.e. subdivisions and commandant of communes. The governors were dictatorial, hence hated. The French failed to develop their communes, i.e. roads, railways, schools, etc. were poor. Assimilation policy failed and was replaced by association policy, which was like indirect rule. The similarities and differences between the British system of indirect rule and the French system of assimilation. Similarities. Both looked at colonization as a civilizing mission. Both worked against African traditional cultures and was clearly shown by the British, who only allowed African chiefs to work as puppets and work by consultation. They all fought resistors who were called anti-development. Both exploited colonies through forced labor, heavy taxes. Following the failure of assimilation, the French also adopted association, which was like indirect rule. Both systems had centralized government system, although that of the French was not so pronounced. Both led to the division of the Africans, i.e. collaborators and resistors. West African history assimilation policy used by the French. In both, education was left in the hands of missionaries. The authority of traditional chiefs was undermined in both, as they only took orders. In both, native laws were undermined as Europeans favoured their Western laws. Both mistreated the Africans, i.e. taxation, forced labour. Both made African traditional chiefs become dependent on European colonial masters. Differences. Attitudes towards the colonial people differed, i.e. Britain looked at colonies as different from Britain, but the French with assimilation looked at colonies as part of France. The French accepted African representation in the Chamber of Deputies/Parliament, but the British did not. Different administrative structure, i.e. the British created the decentralized while the French centralized. The British used African methods to get chiefs, but the French accepted only those who could speak French, Catholics, etc. The British welcomed African elites, but the French looked at